Prince William's annual takings revealed as Princess Diana's letters go up for auction. Plus, Prince Harry reveals a major reason for the royal rift and why it is still dangerous for Meghan to travel to the UK. Plus, author Robert Jobson talks to Us Weekly exclusively about his new book, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and how the royal family really feels about Prince William's helicopter use.
You cannot fly with all your family, and he did. He defied her. And then the king has said exactly the same, and William is sort of pretty much defying him.
We got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Hey everyone, and welcome to Royally Us. I'm Christina. That's Christine. Lots of big royal news this week.
Yeah, we have lots of stories to get into, lots of Harry and Meghan to talk about this week, which we sort of haven't had too much to mention on them lately. So I think we'll have a lot of fun getting into it.
Definitely. All right, well, let's start with Prince William because his annual takings have been revealed. Through inheriting the Duchy of Cornwall estate and the title of the Duke of Cornwall when King Charles ascended the throne back in 2022, William received $30.4 million from his first full year's income. It represented the total earnings taken from the inheritance for the 2023-2024 financial year. Now, the total sum included the official charitable and private expenses of Prince William, Kate Middleton, and their 3 children. As heir to the British throne, William, who does not receive a traditional income as such, is entitled to the surplus profits of the Duchy of Cornwall estate. But while the salary is far from traditional, William is not exempt from paying taxes. The total tax amount was not included in the report. Now, Kensington Palace said that William paid taxes at a standard UK tax rate after official costs have been deducted. He is not required to disclose the amount. So what did you make of all of this? Was this a surprising amount to you?
It wasn't surprising if you had followed sort of the Duchy of Cornwall profits in previous years, but it is sort of eye-opening to realize this is really the first year that Prince William is seeing that full sum as the Duke of Cornwall, and we're really sort of seeing that literally on paper. And this really, for so many people sort of say, well, how do they get their money? It's all taxpayer money. But actually, this is a great example of how Prince William is now sort of a landowner. He's sort of an estate manager at this point. And that's how he's generating this income. And we know the Duchy of Cornwall does a tremendous amount of charity work and supports the local community. So there's a ton of giving back that comes from this, but obviously a huge financial gain as well.
Definitely. All right. Well, we know that he takes his official duties as the Duke of Cornwall very seriously. So Alastair Martin, the outgoing secretary for the Duchy and keeper of the records, told the Times of London, King Charles would telephone me and William will WhatsApp me. Said the day after Her Late Majesty died, I rang Prince William to say, welcome to your duchy, sir. I obviously knew him. I'd been working with him for the previous 8 years or 10 years to really explain to him what his future was during the time he was heir to the throne. Now, during the initial phone conversation, the Prince of Wales gave Martin his mobile telephone number and said, if you want me, just get me, just message me. That's how he works. He is very involved. There will be weekends when my WhatsApp messages will be in double figures and I will be very responsive. If something has gone well or badly, I will want to tell my boss and he'll be straight back. So seems like father, like son. We know that King Charles works very hard and through the weekends and through the nights. And it seems like Prince William has taken on that work ethic as well.
Yeah, but I love that King Charles would sort of, in true sort of generational fashion, King Charles would be a phone call and William is WhatsApps, whenever he can get them fired off. I think this is such a nice insight into the behind the scenes of how the duchy works. And a reminder that Prince William has been training for this and preparing for this for so long. He took a course at Cambridge University. He's literally, taken training in how to be a farmer, a land manager, estate management. And so it's not all sort of investitures and, state dinners. There is a lot of really hands-on getting to know the people and working with these people to benefit the duchy as best as he can.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's spill some royalty. And Prince Harry revealed details about his strained relationship with the UK royal family, but the Queen was supportive of his lawsuit against the tabloids. He told ITV, we had many conversations before she passed. This is very much something she supported. She knew how much this meant to me. She is up there going, see this through to the end without question. Now, Harry said his legal battle against UK tabloids, we know he accused of phone hacking and other illicit methods of information gathering, was a central piece to his deteriorated relationship with his family. When Harry was asked whether his public pursuit of the tabloid industry affected his relationship with the family, he said, yeah, that's certainly a central piece to it. But that's a hard question to answer because anything I say about my family results in a torrent of abuse from the press. He added, I've made it very clear that this is something that needs to be done. It would be nice if we, did it as a family. I believe that, again, from a service standpoint. And when you are in a public role, that these are the things that we should be doing for the greater good. But, I'm doing this for my reasons. Now, as we know, back in April of last year, Harry's lawyers claimed that his brother, Prince William, privately settled a phone hacking claim against News Group newspapers for a very large sum. Pressed about his family not taking a stand against the tabloid industry in the same way he has, Harry responded saying, I think everything that's played out has shown people what the truth of the matter is. For me, the mission continues, but yes, it's caused, as you say, part of a rift. I mean, it's so sad that that caused such a, just a downfall of this relationship.
I think we sort of know from everything that we've heard between Spare and the Netflix series and the interviews that the press's treatment, I think especially of Meghan, was a huge catalyst in this rift. And so I think any sort of press treatment or Harry's relationship with the press in any way is going to be a huge part of that. And he sort of can't talk about these cases, can't talk about the phone hacking without revealing how much this has affected his relationship with his family. And I do think for this was a broad documentary featuring lots of celebrities, but of course Harry was really pressed on his relationship with the family and the Queen and all these things. We're really bringing these stories back up to just generate new headlines because he's right. Anything he says about his family pops up as a negative headline in the Sun, just as it has here, when really this is about the phone hacking scandal, which is sort of part of his larger campaign to press reform, which he said is sort of his life's work. And it just sort of goes round and round to well, okay, but what did the Queen think about that? Are you talking to your brother? Are you speaking, are you going to keep this rift?
It's so true. It's always going to come back to the family and the relationship. And he also talked about how it's affected his wife Meghan's ability to travel to the UK. He said it's still dangerous, and all it takes is one lone actor, one person who reads the stuff to act on what they have read, and whether it's a knife or acid, whatever it is. And these are things that are of genuine concern for me. It's one of the reasons why I won't bring my wife back to this country. Harry noted that the high-profile lawsuit hasn't brought any more attention to his family than normal. He said there is more than enough attention on me and my wife anyway. He said they pushed me too far. This was the media's past attacks on his loved one, saying it got to a point where you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. But I don't think that there's anybody in the world better suited and placed to be able to see this through than myself. So, yeah, I don't foresee Meghan being back in the UK anytime soon, or the children.
Yeah, I know a lot of people really poked holes into this because obviously there's lone actors anywhere. I mean, we've seen it recently in the United States, but we've seen it in the UK, but all over the world, there's people who will read too much online and act for, really really terrible reasons and do horrible things. But Harry clearly feels passionately that he wants to keep his wife and children out of the UK to protect them from something. And I think we can't necessarily fault a father and a husband from protecting his family.
Right. Yeah. But you're so right. It could happen anywhere. It could happen in California. It could happen there. It's, it's just unfortunate. It's really unfortunate that he feels this way and that he just can't bring his family back home. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, Meghan is enjoying life, enjoying her summer in the Hamptons. So she has the right people in her corner. She was spotted at a high-powered Hamptons business summit hosted by Goop and Bumble investor Amy Griffin and her G9 Ventures this past weekend. Photos shared by Jones Road founder Bobby Brown showed Meghan in an oversized tan suit at the East Hampton get-together. Of course, we know that she is launching her own lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. So seems like she is rubbing shoulders with the right people.
Yeah, I think it was really fun to see her at sort of one of these society events out and about. She was with her friend Misha Nonu, who she's been friends with for so long. And it's nice to see her, friendships and relationships continue as her life evolves. And
Yeah.
hopefully this means that we'll start to see more from American Riviera Orchard. We've said so many times that we just want to
Mhm.
see, give us something.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
Where is it?
where maybe this is a step in the right direction.
I would hope so. Hopefully, like we get a little bit more than these jam
Fingers
teases.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, let's break down the royal rules. And we spoke exclusively with author Robert Jobson about his new book, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, a biography of the future queen. Now, he told us what Catherine is really like behind closed doors, the rules that she set for the queen, and how the royal family feels about Prince William's helicopter use. Take a look. You know what was so interesting that you write in the book that I think when she was pregnant with Princess Charlotte, you kind of alluded to this earlier, that she did sit down with then Prince Charles and the Queen and kind of set out these rules for her and her family. What was the reaction of Charles and the Queen when she came to them with those rules?
I think both of them were very understanding because at that stage, you remember you have a monarch and a monarch in waiting,
Hmm.
the heir to the throne already in place, and therefore there's a little bit more freedom for the Duke and for
Hmm.
for Kate because they're not directly in line. Now that is more difficult because, of course, it's clear that the king is the king, and God hope as they say, God save the king, and let's hope he lives for a lot longer. But the reality is, it could well be within 5 or 10 or even 50, years that is going to come upon them, and they know that their roles will change beyond recognition, really, in terms of. So that's why they want to spend as much time being normal with their children and giving their
Hmm.
children as normal an upbringing as they possibly can. Yes, they are privileged children. Yes, they are wealthy and go to the top schools and all that. But they're pretty, they kept them grounded. They haven't got them in, they're not. I know they've got places at Animal Hall and Kensington Palace, but where they spend the majority of their time is at Adelaide Cottage, which is a pretty modest, 4 bedroom property, and that is sort of, I think, is that sort of that sums Kate and William up really. That they're trying their best to give the children a normal upbringing as possible, so that they're not overall overwhelmed by what's ahead of them, particularly
Right.
George.
You write about how the Princess of Wales has really helped the relationship between King Charles and Prince
Yes,
William. Can you talk a little bit
yes.
more about that and how she was so
Well, that was
instrumental?
frosty. I mean, there were moments when the relationship between the king and the Prince of Wales, William, was frosty. There are moments like that. Of course, there have been
Mhm.
problems like that in the past, but I think actually she's great at being the hub, the conduit to good relations, making sure that he gets the king, who's incredibly busy, gets to see his grandchildren as regularly as possible, which was an issue at one stage.
Mhm.
I think that, she's been brilliant. I think the king absolutely adores her. You can see his eyes light up when he sees her. She's, I think when they were in hospital, he spent a little bit of time talking to her when they were in the same hospital. I think he really does adore her, actually, as the daughter he never had. Yeah.
Another interesting thing that I found in the book is the helicopter use of Prince William and how that
Yeah.
has become such an issue with the royal family. Can you talk a bit more about that? Is
Yeah,
it
I
true?
mean the king, the king and the queen. The queen raised it first. Basically, I suppose when all this nonsense was going on with Harry and Meghan and everything, you cannot fly with all your family, and he did. He defied her, and then the king has said exactly the same. And William is sort of pretty much defying him, and actually got the king got him to write to say that he knows the problems involved and it's his responsibility. I think it's rather naive of William to do it myself.
Does he still do it?
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely an interesting read with a lot of little nuggets about the royal family, especially the Princess of Wales. So if you want more information, make sure you pick up this week's issue of Us Weekly. All right, well, let's get into our history moment of the week and several of Princess Diana's handwritten letters and cards to her former housekeeper, Violet Colson. We're going to be sold at a UK auction this week. And so they gave us some insights on what they were talking about, these cards. So it's really a fun thing to do. So she called her Collie, and Collison served as the head housekeeper of Diana's childhood home. Included in the auction is a collection is Colston's invite to Diana and King Charles's wedding back in 1981 and Christmas cards sent by Diana from the years from 1981 to 1994. In later years, Diana's Christmas card only featured photos of her with her sons, following her divorce from King Charles. So her handwritten letters to Colston span, like we said, from 1980 to 1992. When we are filming this now, I think that they probably are up for auction, so we don't know how much they sold for. But it is always nice to get like these little insights in what she, how she spoke to other people and what her relationships were like.
Yeah, I think there's so many little tidbits in these letters that, we sort of guess, but just even one about her wedding, saying that the bride has remained quite calm, but everyone is quite frantic. Just these little behind the scenes glimpses. We all love them so much. And hopefully this auction goes very well. People really love Diana memorabilia, and those, these are pieces of history. I mean, when you think about how these letters will be preserved for years and years to come and, used in history books, it's amazing to think about.
It really is, yeah. I know there was a letter that she wrote thanking her for reaching out after her father passed. So it seemed like they had a really nice relationship. And like you said, it's owning a piece of history. It really is. All right, well, that is it for this week's episode of Royally Us. Lots of things to get to this week. But like I said, if you want to learn more about Robert Jobson's book, pick up the latest issue of Us Weekly. And Christine and I will see you next week.